First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, welcome to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. We are live here every weekday at 1 p.m. Pacific, live from the Fox 12 Oregon headquarters at our digital desk. And thanks for joining us. So we're broadcasting live on our social media channels. We're on our apps. We're on our website. So lots of places to find us. So always know that you can go there at 1 p.m. every day and catch what we're going to be talking about, which covers a lot of different topics. And today, though, we are going to be talking about a Portland author with a new book coming out. I mean, it's perfectly timed here with school starting back in session to be talking about this. And it's about a book that actually helps kids stand up to bullying. At least that's in part. There's a lot more we're going to be covering with this, but that's certainly a part of it, which is obviously a big issue for a lot of kids now. So let's jump right into it here. We've got Doug Killingtree, the author of Don't Say Gator. Doug, thank you for joining us here today. I really want to get into the book and this new book that's going to be coming out, but I want to find out a little bit more about you too. So maybe you can give us your backstory and how you got into being an author.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. My backstory is I have a theater background, and my grandfather is or was an author as well. So writing always kind of came naturally to me. So working into these books, the impetus behind it was that both of my sisters had kids, their first kid around the same time, and they wanted to create a library of diverse viewpoints for their kids. And they reached out to say that they couldn't really find a lot of books for LGBTQ kids. There were books for kids with same-sex parents and whatnot, but not a whole lot of books geared towards LGBTQ kids. So it just kind of came naturally to me to write a little story for them that evolved into teaching myself to illustrate and all that. So,
I mean, you're saying that so nonchalantly, but that's a lot of work to figure out how to do all that. I mean, so you illustrated it as well?
I did, yeah. Originally, the reason that I started illustrating it, I had no intention of illustrating it. I had been floating it to a couple publishers, and and I wasn't getting a whole lot of response. So I figured maybe I'll just create a cover for it or something to catch the eye. So when they first open it, and then I just fell in love with doing it. And I was like, I'll illustrate a few more images, and then by the time I finished the whole book. So.
Well, yeah, I know I've spoken to a few authors before, and I understand how tedious that process is just to get something, to even get something completed, let alone get it published and get it out there. Well, you mentioned, that this topic was also something that just kind of spoke to you. Can you speak to us about why that is? What is it about this topic specifically? You mentioned you have your sister with her kids not being able to find these books, but what is it about this topic that speaks to you?
Well, I grew up gay in small town Alaska, and during the height of the AIDS crisis, and for me it was between school and home and church. There was no place that was telling me that I wasn't broken or disgusting in some way. So I know what it's like to grow up with that weighing on you. I was lucky enough in my teenage years to find some mentors that really helped me feel more comfortable with myself, because I know at that time I was definitely dealing with some thoughts of suicide. And that's just the fact that, especially among trans kids today, the suicide rate is 4 times that among cis kids. So hearing what was going on down in Florida particularly, and knowing how much that was impacting me psychologically and emotionally, I couldn't imagine what it's like for the kids down there right now who maybe have nobody telling them that it's okay to be who they are. So that's where this book came from. And it was my first couple of books are more kind of fables, kind of soft and pleasant little stories. And this one I wanted to be more of an anthem. I wanted it to be more something of standing up and saying, like, you know what? I don't care what you say to me. I don't care what you think about me. I am who I am, and that's just fine.
And there's, so you mentioned that there's a lack of literature that you feel that's out there that covers this kind of topic as well.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better in the last few years. There's several really good, more high profile books out there that are available now. When I first started writing in 2015, I found one book that was geared towards LGBTQ kids. and the rest was all geared, which is great. I love the books that are for kids with same-sex parents. That's fantastic as well. But I think as we've kind of evolved as a society to realize that being queer isn't a sex issue. It's a love issue. Because I do think that if I could jump back a little bit, I think a fundamental misunderstanding in this argument, because I agree, a lot of the people on the other side of this debate would be surprised. I agree we shouldn't be discussing sex with kids before a certain age. But this isn't about sex. It's about love. And in the same way that, like, I could never be in an emotional relationship with a woman. I remember being my first day in kindergarten and being able to pick out the boys that I thought were cute. I didn't know anything about sex. So to me, like, this idea that it's about sex is a fundamental misunderstanding of the argument. So as we've come to realize, a lot of people, that this is just about love and attraction and who you are as an individual, discussing it with kids and realizing that actually it's good to discuss with kids because there are kids out there that know that they're queer, whether they can put a word to it or not. They know who they are. They're going to kindergarten too, and they're picking out the boys and the girls that they think are cute. So to not discuss it with them actually creates more of a danger. So I just think it's very important to find a way to talk to kids about this in a way that is not confusing for them, and to help them to feel that they're loved no matter who they are.
Well, this book, that you've created. So you mentioned that this is more of an anthem. This is kind of a little bit of a change from that you had before. So let's talk about Don't Say Gator and what it is that it covers and how you address those issues.
Yeah, so actually, my first book, A Normal Turtle, was adapted into a small, short, low one-act musical by Fifth Avenue Theater up in Seattle. And during the pandemic, they decided to create kind of these Reading Rainbow style online animated versions of the books for kids to watch from home. And that really inspired me, coming from a theater background, to see that performance of it. So with this one,
pretty cool to see, I would imagine.
It was. I got to take my niece to go see it, and it was full circle for me, But so with this one, right off the bat, I knew I wanted it to be musical. I knew that it wouldn't just be a book; it would be something that kids could sing, and I wanted to provide that music for them. So I actually worked with local artist Corinne Charlotte, who's a fantastic singer-songwriter, and she was very excited to work on it. And we put together the music, and that's being produced by Links DeMuth here in Portland as well, a queer producer. So we're going to have an animated online video that kids can watch, that it's a sing along with them, so that they can learn the song themselves, and maybe if they're facing some kind of bullying or other discrimination, they can have that in their head.
Nice. I mean, so really combining, like you mentioned, going back to your beginning, combining all of these things, into one. Well, for the book, for people who, I guess I want to speak to it more for people out there who you think this would really help. The people who this book can actually be helpful for them. What would you say, I guess, is the target market for this book?
Well, this is definitely for elementary school age queer kids. However, I do think that a lot of my supporters don't have queer kids. A lot of my the people that follow me and buy my books don't have queer kids, but they want to teach their kids different viewpoints, and to think of things in different ways, and to think of all people as human beings, no matter the color of their skin or who they love or their gender identity or whatnot. So while this is definitely geared towards LGBTQ kids and for parents and educators who work with LGBTQ kids, it really is appropriate for all kids, and it can teach a lesson for everybody.
And where, well, I guess we're going to get to too, because I want to let people know when they can get a copy of the book, how they can get a hold of it, and all of that. But I think, going forward, say that this book is out there, where would you like to see this go? What would be the next step for you?
I mean, it's a very small print. What I do, I've always gone through Kickstarter and worked with Mascot Books, which is a hybrid publisher. And so it's never really been, I do get some criticism about, and I do understand it about like people saying that, profiting off of kids suffering or whatnot. But this has never been a financial financial thing for me. It's always actually been more out of pocket than anything coming in. But it's a very small print. It doesn't have very wide circulation. It can be shipped all over the United States, of course. But I mean, I would really like to see some libraries or teachers be able to have this on hand, especially in the States where these Don't Say Gay bills are going through, because it's not just Florida. There's a number of different states that are pushing these through now. So it's going to be a lot of kids that are out there suffering and scared.
And for someone out there who maybe, would want to help out or want to get a copy of this, what are some different things that people could do to recognize maybe somebody who is having some issues, who is having some problems? Maybe it's a child out there who's having these issues that you're talking about, but they're not verbally expressing it. Is there a way to identify that and maybe, get them a copy of this or get them some of that help that they need?
Yeah, I think that it's tricky on one hand because a lot of times kids are feeling a lot of shame and they might not be willing to admit, that maybe that this is what they're thinking about. I mean, some kids, things are really changing today, which is great, but there are still a lot of homes out there and a lot of schools and people that are going to encourage these kids to keep what they have to say silent. So I would just say if you have an inkling that you have a child who maybe is questioning their identity or whatnot, grab these books for them and just, because again, it doesn't have to, they don't have to be for LGBTQ kids, but I think what I'm trying to do is lay a groundwork so that these kids, as they grow, if they do realize down the road maybe that they're queer, then they know that this person who gave them this book is telling them it doesn't matter. It's so that they're feeling, so that you're fostering a sense of safety so that they can then come out and talk to you about it. Because I think forcing that conversation is often not very helpful.
Right. I can see that having issues all around, especially with kids. So so this book, do you feel that this would be something that's good for everybody to read, whether it is, like you mentioned, whether somebody knows that they are or not, maybe it's down the line, but to get that understanding of I guess what it is and that it's okay to come out that way?
Yeah, I think that's the best thing that we can do is to get it to everybody, to all the kids, so that the ones that are queer do have that framework that to understand, and also to know that they're in a safe place. So,
well, I wanna get back to this to let everybody know where they can pick it up, when they can pick it up, how the book's coming out, and all of that. So, can you give us all the details on that?
Yeah, for sure. So it's distributed by Mascot Books. It'll be available online. Actually, you can pre-order it now. Mascotbooks.com has pre-orders available now. You can pre-order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or Books A Million. So actually, if you go to my website, which is don'tsaygator.com, we do have a page on there that'll point you towards all the different retailers for this book and for the previous books as well.
Oh, real quick, and I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but what is the premise behind Don't Say Gator? The name.
Premise behind, so the premise behind,
we didn't talk about that.
No, it's fine. So all of my books work around like some kind of animal fable structure. So with Don't Say Gator, the idea is that you've got a little gator down in the Everglades, and they are facing a lot of uncertainty, things that they see in the news, things that people tell them that they can and can't say about themselves, and them being defiant and standing up and saying, I can say Gator, I am Gator, and that's who I am, and that's, there's no reason that I shouldn't be able to tell people that.
Got it. Makes perfect sense. Well, Doug, I want to say thank you very much, for joining us to talk about this. Congratulations to you on being able to create all of these books and take all of your talent and put these out there and help some people out. So again, people can like you said, pre-order the book from all of those sites and go to your website and check out some of the other stuff that you've done. And anything else that you want to let people know?
No, I just thank you so much for having me. And if you have a queer kid in your life, just let them know that you love them.
Fantastic. Doug, thank you very much for being here on Fox 12 Now.
Thank you so much for having me.
And for all of you watching, appreciate you joining us here. So again, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler, live every weekday, 1 p.m. I say that a lot because I just want to remind you, depending on when you're watching, maybe this is your first time, maybe you've come back before, but that's when we go live. But all of these videos and interviews that we do are available on the Fox 12 Oregon YouTube channel, on the app, so you can download the Fox 12 Oregon app. There's a Fox 12 Now button right there. We're on the website, so lots of places to catch a lot of the things that we're talking about. And today, coming up here at 1:30 p.m., we're going to continue our series talking to a lot of nonprofits here in the area as part of the Oregon Charity Championship Golf Tournament. They're going to be participating in that. We're going to be talking to Joy RX, talking about a Children's Cancer Association. So it's about helping out children who are battling cancer. So that's coming up at 1:30 p.m. So you can join me live for that on whatever platform you're watching on. I'll see you then. I'm going to sign off right now. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.